Hey, you guys. Sorry about that. My brain must have been on Eastern time because I scheduled the live for 12:30 Pacific, and it was supposed to be 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern. So if you're on the East Coast, it's 12:30 your time. But the link, unfortunately, wasn't working. So hopefully you guys are finding yourself on the page, the Badass Women Course Creators page, and you're going to be able to find me there. I'm going to wait just a second and hope that some of you guys see that I'm live and that you want to come check in with me. Let me go over here. There we go. Cool. Oh, there are a couple people here. Thank you, Sarah and Barbara, Bettina. Glad you're here. Hello. I apologize again. It was last night when I scheduled this, and I must have been a little tired or something. So thank you for being here. Just a few quick notes. If you're here watching live, I'd love to have you interact with me. So yeah, just type in your questions, type in responses when I ask for those. That would be great. If you're watching the replay, you can use the hashtag replay and let me know if you have questions. I'm going to be interacting with you. I'm excited about this training because I'm going to be talking about finding more hours in the day and getting all the shit that you need to get done, and making sure that you're not working 10 hours a day and feeling like you're not getting anything done, which happens to me a lot, especially when I don't practice what I'm going to be teaching you today. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. I'm going to do a little training to begin with. For those of you who don't know me, there's a lot of new members in the group. My name's Julianne Jones. I'm known as the Virtual Rock Star, and I refer to myself as a badass, no BS business mentor for incredibly talented and amazing women. And I am the creator of the Online Course Academy, and actually just created a brand new program that I'm going to be launching next week. It's a one-off 3-hour VIP intensive called Rock Your Online Course. And the people that are in that course, I'm only taking 10. We have 6 spots left. So if you're interested in that, I'll be talking at the end a little bit more about that. But yeah, I'm all about getting your superpower out online and into the world. That's what I'm up to. So today, we're going to talk about this whole concept of, I don't like to call it time management because I don't really think that's accurate. But I'm going to start with talking about what I call your time management style. And I'm going to switch over and share my screen. Hold on a second. You know what? Let me go back here. I'm using a new software. It takes me a minute. So I have to go here first. There we go. All right, now I'm going to share my screen, and it's going to work beautifully. Perfect. All right, current application. Awesome. So I don't know what happens if I hit play on this. Let me just see. So it's a little bit bigger for you guys. Okay, cool. I'm going to come over here really quickly and log in and just make sure that everything's working. Just bear with me for a second. If you want to check in and tell me on a scale of 1 to 10 how you feel about your own time management, or time, how should I say this? How you get through your day, sort of. How you roll, I guess. There we go. Okay, great. So let's talk about this this concept of time. And it's big, I know. Is it gonna? Yes, there it is. Okay, great. I love it when things work out the way they're supposed to, don't you? So when it comes to time management or creating a schedule, managing your time on a day-to-day basis, it's not a one-size-fits-all conversation. And I think that's where a lot of people tend to have problems or sort of, struggle. What works for someone what works for your business mentor, what works for, someone else in your business might not work for you. And who you are and how you function has everything to do with how you create and maintain a way of working. So for some people, structure is really the key to success. I tend to be a fairly structured person myself. But for other people, they really can't, they have to have freedom or flow. And if they don't, they're not going to be as productive. So when you start to learn what your time management style is, then you can set up systems that support the way that you work best. And you can let go of any guilt, more importantly, about what you should be doing or the way that everybody else says that you need to work. This is not something that anybody defines except for you. So I want to share 3 different types of time management styles so you can kind of decide where you fit, okay? So the first one is what I call the free-flowing type. And if your time management style is free-flowing, you abhor structure. Okay, that means that you live very much in the moment. You would prefer not to have any structure or schedule at all. And while it's challenging to create a schedule around that style, it's not impossible. As long as you consider what needs to be in place for you to feel content and happy as you work within the confines of this particular style. Okay, so the key to happiness for a free-flowing person is freedom. But if you have too much freedom, then you end up multitasking and jumping from project to project, and you run the risk of becoming unreliable for yourself, for your team, for your clients, for your family. That is not good. And that this way of working can really create a lot of stress in a free-flowing person, especially since the demands and the deadlines don't just go away if they don't get finished. Okay? So you have to make sure that you have some sort of structure. Now, if this is your time management style, I want you to think about working in a way that supports both the freedom and the need for structure in your business. Okay, so I have a couple tips for you if this is your time management style. First of all, as you look at your workday, make sure that you're working small but intense bursts of structured activity, and then mix those with chunks of plenty of unstructured time. Okay? You could consider working in time chunk intervals, and we're going to talk about that next. That's the second. I'm going to teach you 3 things today. This is number 1. The second thing we're going to talk about deals with this. So that would be things like making phone calls or balancing your checkbook, or getting on social media for work. And that's a set amount of time that you set aside, and then you leave time open in your schedule to use any way that you want after that. So it doesn't mean that you're not going to be working during the unstructured times, but it gives you the freedom and the freedom that you feel knowing that you've got free time coming up, that you can make, any decision you want about what you do. That'll make you more productive during the structured time. You can also do this in chunks as small as 30-minute intervals and in chunks as large as a day if you want, one day of structure, one day of freedom. It's totally up to you, but I recommend creating both. Okay. The second thing to think about is your most productive time of the day. Okay, everybody has a time of day that's better for them. I am a morning person. Okay, I work best in the morning. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. My significant other hates mornings. So if you're a morning person, structure your calendar so the most important items for the day are scheduled first thing in the morning. And then that's when you're at your best. If you work better in the evening or at night, schedule them then. Okay, you have to decide that. And then consider a daily schedule that's open to flux. And that means that you might start out with a plan for the day or the week, but you're open to changing that plan if something comes up that you would rather do. So the key is, and this is really important, to make sure that you decide that if you decide to rearrange your schedule to accommodate something that comes up. Okay, let's say you had planned on a structured work time and something else came up that you want to do instead and you're doing that now. That's cool. That's great. The great thing about being self-employed. But if that happens, you have to go to your calendar and immediately reschedule whatever you didn't do during that time so that it gets accomplished, because otherwise that's where that feeling of overwhelm comes from. Okay? So I'm going to check back in with you guys and see if this is resonating with anybody. Does anybody who's on consider themselves a free-flowing time management style? Does this resonate with you? Oh, Sarah says, I waste a lot of time. Also, it's hard for me to stay on task and I get easily distracted, both of which makes it hard to accomplish things. Yeah, so the next one I'm going to talk about might really support you, Sarah. So the second time management style is what we call the structured type, okay? So if you have a high value around order and organization, you're probably going to fit into this structured time management style. And that means that you function best with a high degree of predictability in your schedule. And a lot of people who are this structured style have a schedule that's the same every single day or week or both. And they decide what they need to do and when they're going to do it. And then they use the same blocks of time each week to make sure that it gets done. So if something comes up that's out of their routine and needs to be accomplished, they can get stressed out and they start to feel overwhelmed. Okay, so the key to happiness, if you're a structured person, is to make sure that you're honoring your need for order, and the opposite of what I was just talking about, you're still making time for flux, because that's inevitable, right? It happens in every day. It's one thing to have a structured, reliable schedule. It's another to be so rigidly tied to that you can't ever go with the flow when the need arises. And you have to have both in order to be effective. So if this is your time management style, you're going to want to have a clear idea of systems in place so that you can give yourself permission to break the rules now and then, and that's important. You want to get clear about when you're working and when you're not working. Okay, so you need to structure your day so that you have the peace of mind that everything you need to get done is going to get done. And that means knowing what you need to do and blocking times during the week to get those things accomplished. So the structured type, this time management style, they generally work best with a weekly schedule that's sort of the same or can be the same, every week, let's say. So that means every Monday they do banking administrative, every Tuesday they do team calls, Wednesday they host customer follow-ups, etc. I have a schedule kind of like that, okay? I do, I'm ahead of myself here a little bit. Let me go back. There we go. Okay. I do these videos every Monday. I do client calls on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. That's how I set up my schedule. It's really generally easier for truly structured people to have it set up that way. They love finding a way to do something efficiently and the same way every single time. So keep your schedule where you can see it. That way, you're going to easily be able to stay on track, which will keep you from stressing out about whether or not you're on track, right? And also be open to rescheduling, when you have a need to do that. This is really the biggest challenge for the structured type because they like things to run the same all the time. And if something comes up that you have to or might even choose to do, and it's unplanned during that unstructured workday, like running a child to the doctor or having lunch with a friend or volunteering at the last minute or driving carpool for a sick parent, you get the idea. A lot of times, that can really stress out someone who's a structured person because now they're doing something other than what they'd planned. So go to your calendar, find a chunk of time within the week and reschedule the activity that you'd originally planned for that time, just like I talked about for the free flowing, okay? That's one of the beauties of having the freedom to make your own schedule. Just make sure you reschedule it and that it gets done and it doesn't carry over because that adds stress. All right? Fantastic. Last type is the to-do list driven type. And the to-do list driven type, all of us fit into this category at some level. I've really rarely met anybody who doesn't make lists for some things at some time. So the people who truly fit into a to-do list time management style are driven by lists, though. They tend to be really productive, and a lot of times they border on being workaholics. The to-do list personality a lot of times works long hours, has trouble setting limits on how often they're in their office or, stopping work. And a lot of times the harmony between their family and their life and their business can be really difficult to manage. So the key to happiness if you are a to-do list personality is to make sure that you have every activity that you think you're going to want to accomplish for that week out on paper. So if it lives in your head, it can eat you alive. Because you're going to lay awake at night, you're going to strain to make sure that you've remembered everything that you have to do. A lot of times to-do list types are so busy that they create their schedules weekly or even daily, and that can make it challenging to develop a systematic, sane way of working. So I have a couple tips for you for staying sane and out of a state of overwhelm that can really help. If you make a master list of everything that you have to do for the week on Sunday night or Monday morning, I like Sunday night, sit down and brain dump everything that you can think of that you have to accomplish in the following week. And this is actually a great idea no matter which time management style you are. But look at your current schedule, see what might already be there, and get everything out on paper if you can. Okay, and then look at your schedule and decide when you're available to accomplish what's on your list. If you can do that, even on a general level, by the week or even by, a few days at a time, you're going to get a snapshot of what your week is going to consist of. And then if you need to tweak that, you do that daily based on what comes up, and you can do that. And then finally, make sure that you don't take on too much. The reason that you make a master list is to put your mind at ease about not forgetting anything. You're not going to get the entire list done on Monday. Okay, so give yourself permission to take 3 to 5 items at a time off of that list, depending on the size of the project. And then just let the rest of the items go and wait until later in the week. That might take some practice, but you're going to find eventually you'll be a lot more productive as you work systematically through your list instead of flying from project to project, crossing everything off as quickly as possible. Okay, so that's important to know. Now, just so you know, you're probably not going to be just one of these. You might even cross over to a couple. I tend to be structured and to-do list driven both, and those go together a lot of times. But to-do list driven also works with free flowing for different reasons. Take some time and think about what you've learned, then decide which style you might be. And if you're not sure, you probably have an idea of which of these is predominantly, fits your personality and the way that you tend to work, but you also probably see some of yourself in all three. And it's important to isolate which style you feel suits you best so that you can create your schedule in the process that you're going to be able to manage so that you're working within the values that you hold around your work. The more you understand yourself and your time management style, the more comfortable you can be in how you're showing up for work, and also making a schedule. So just so you know, if you are free-flowing, for instance, and you attempt to fit your time management style into the structures type, it's going to feel like fitting a square peg into a round hole. It's not you, and it's never going to work for you. Okay? So it's really important that you pay close attention to that. All right, so now I'm going to come back and see you guys again. Oops, let me go down here. There we go. To me. So hopefully that helped. I took that directly from my Get Organized and Take Back Your Life program. And those time management styles I developed after coaching for about 4 years and realizing that most people, not everybody has the same time management style as I do. And I developed my time management training thinking, well, I know how to do time management. Hi, Darla. And hi, Connie. And so this must be the way you do it. And what I began to realize as I worked with my clients was everyone's different. And like I said, your personality really does dictate how that works. So just curious, those of you that have been on for a while, how does that resonate with you? Can any of you see yourselves in that description or one of those descriptions? I'm curious to know. And there is a bit of a lag, so I'm going to wait a second and see if anybody replies. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit about, oh, cool. Okay, Darla. I'm actually going to do this again live at 12:30 because I said I would. There was some confusion about the time. I'm not sure what happened, but I don't mind doing it again live. I love this training. So I'll be back live at 12:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern too, just so you guys know if you want to come back. So anyway, let's talk just briefly about this idea of creating time chunks in your schedule, using time blocking, some people call it, to get things done, okay, to get shit done. Each one of those time management styles, I asked you to do that at some level, okay, so that's the consistent one, all right? And I think it's really important that you have set aside some time to say, this is when I'm working, either in general or on this project. Not only does it help put your mind at ease, but it's an intentional way to say, I'm in business and I'm showing up for this. I'm not just going to kind of fly by the seat of my pants, because that really doesn't generally get you the results you want. So I recommend that you go and block time every single day of the week, or if you work, however many days you choose to work each week, you block time to actually work. And you think of that time just like you would a hair color appointment or a dentist appointment or an appointment with your child's teacher. It's on your calendar, and you don't get to write over it, and you don't get to do something different unless something comes up and you consciously say, okay, you know what? I know I had planned to work, but I haven't seen this friend in 5 years, and she's only in town for this afternoon, so I'm going to go have lunch with her. But I'm going to take that 2 hours that I had scheduled, and I'm going to put it on another day or later in the day today, or whatever that looks like. Okay, so it's very important that you are intentional with this, and time blocking is a great way to do that. So that's the second tip. Block out time to work every day that you're planning on working, and then stay true to that unless something comes up. And if something does come up that you really feel like you want to or need to address instead, reschedule that commitment to yourself at a different time that day or the next day if possible. Okay. And then the third thing I wanted to talk about is looking at what you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in service of your business, and deciding what of those things you could either delete, defer, or delegate, okay? And the truth is, a lot of the things that you're doing now, you could probably delete. I know for me, when I get really clear about exactly how I'm spending my time, sometimes I'm appalled. And it really has me look at, okay, this is what I'm actually doing, and these things are not serving me. I don't need to be doing this, or this. I just hired a VA 2 weeks ago, and I'm delegating a bunch of the things I used to be doing myself to her. So that frees up my time to work on higher level things in my business, income producing things in my business. And I can also sometimes defer something. Like if I'm working, and I tend to do this just because I have a kind of a OCD type A personality, and I want everything to be done. And so sometimes I'll be working on a project, I'll be really focused, and something will come up, and I'll think, oh, I got to do that too. And I'll want to switch over and get that done. And that does not serve me, okay? So instead I defer that. I'll say, okay, so I'm not going to do that right now, but when can I do that? And I put it on my schedule. So who can you, or what can you delete that you're doing now that isn't serving you? And it doesn't mean you can never do it again. It just means right now you're not going to do it. What can you defer to a different time so that right now you stay focused where you are? And what can you delegate to someone else? It doesn't necessarily have to be a VA that you pay. Do you have, I read somewhere last week that someone's paying her teenage daughter like $10 an hour, or whatever minimum wage is, to do social media posting for her because her daughter's all over it. She knows Instagram. This woman doesn't. And, it doesn't have to be complicated. You can barter for your time or services with somebody who might be willing to help you out, that you could defer or delegate some things to. So those are the 3 tips. Figure out your time management style. And if you weren't here at the beginning of this video, just go back and watch, or come back at 12:30 Pacific time today, 3:30 Eastern. I'm going to do this all over again because I messed up when I scheduled it. Figure out your time management style and create a schedule based on the tips I shared with you around that. Time block, so make sure that you commit to yourself and your business and you have time blocked every single day to get some things done. And then figure out what you can delete, defer, or delegate so that you free up that time to work more intentionally, because that's really the idea, 100%. Awesome. So really, truly, systems are the key. I am all about systems. I teach systems all the time. This is really a time management system that I'm talking about today. I'm assuming because of the name of this group that most of you are here because you're interested in creating an online course, taking your business online in some way, shape, or form. Darla says I time block and I could not exist without that. I also batch projects together. I have a VA and she's awesome. Yeah, I do all those things too, Darla. And my new VA I'm just really loving. It's been very fun to just say, can you take care of this? And then let it go. I love that. Anyway, if you're ready to create your course, if you're feeling like you want to get your process into a cohesive, awesome, marketable online course, then you might be interested. And I know a couple of you on here have already signed up. Darla and Sarah are already in the are going to be joining me on the 7th of May. I'm doing a 3-hour VIP intensive live on Zoom. You don't have to show up at my house or anything. Live on Zoom. There's a workbook. We're going to work through exactly what you're going to put into your course, exactly what you're going to call your course, exactly what each module in your course is going to be, exactly which video is going to be in each module, the workbooks you're going to have. So by the time we're done with that 3 hours, you will have your entire online course laid out and ready to create. And then you get 30 minutes of my one-on-one time in the next few days to look over your plan and make sure that it's exactly the way we want it to be. Those 2 appointments normally cost $1,250. Because I'm doing this in a group of 10, it's $297 for that. And the call with me, the one-on-one call, is actually a bonus. So if you're interested, there's still 6 spots left. I'm going to put the link here. Actually, let me just do this right now, really quickly, and then I'll put it in the comments, and then I'm also going to put it in the. Oops, that's the wrong board. I'm using Trello. I love Trello too. I got to do a whole training on Trello at some point because I really am loving Trello, and it's a great way to work with my VA because I can share boards with her and just go and put stuff in there for her to see. Anyway, so here is the link for the VIP intensive. If you're interested in learning more about that, that's the information page. It'll give you everything you need to know. And I just am super excited about this. I've never done one of these group intensives before. I've been doing these one-on-one for the last 6 months or so, but this is going to be awesome. And the group energy, I think, is going to make a huge difference as well. So there you go. We took a little bit longer today, almost half an hour, but I wanted to make sure that I had time to cover those 3 things. Figure out your time management style, time block so that you are committed to working during specific times in your week, and delete, defer, or delegate whatever you can. And if you want, come back at 12:30 today, Pacific, 3:30 Eastern. I'll be doing this again to make sure that I catch everybody. All right? Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.